Time for another board game review, and this time we have the game Ticket to Ride Europe 15th Anniversary Edition. This was sent to me by Asmodee, and is designed by Alan R. Moon. This deluxe and oversized version of Ticket to Ride Europe celebrates years of thrilling train adventures for many families and friends. Featuring finely detailed plastic trains and stations coming in gorgeous tin boxes, this version is a spare, no-expense, definitive edition of the classic Ticket to Ride Europe. Oversized board, all the destination tickets published to date, along with a set of beautiful new artwork. Let me show you how to play. The object of the game is to score the highest number of points. Points can be scored by claiming routes between adjacent cities on the map, successfully completing a continuous path of routes between two cities, like on one of these tickets here, completing the longest continuous path of routes to win the European Express bonus card for longest road, and keeping train stations in reserve at the end of the game. We'll get into those later. At the beginning of the game, depending on the mode you're playing, you get a certain number of tickets. You can choose to keep some, and these are your goals. You want to make a connection of routes between these two cities, and you'll score those points. Anything you don't finish by the end of the game, you will lose the points on the card. There are also short routes and long routes. Each of you can get one long route at the beginning of the game. Again, depending on the mode you're playing. Now, on your turn, you have one of four actions you can do. We'll go through each one at a time. First off, you can draw two train car cards. If we go over here and look here, you can pick two cards. So I could pick, I'm going to take this one and this one. Whenever you take them, they are replaced by cards. I could also take two from the top instead, or I could take one from the top and one here. The only exception to that rule is when you have these locomotives. These locomotives are wild cards. If you take one of these, that means you cannot take another card. Unless you draw one blind from the top. If you draw a locomotive blind from the top, then you can draw another card without limit. But anyway, basically, draw two cards or a face-up wild. Another action you can do is claim a route. So if we look on the board here, if I have enough, let's say I spend two red cards and a locomotive, I can build here. Now, in this game, they come in these really nice tins, and the trains are actually fully painted. So I'll show you these as I do examples so you can all see. For those of you who are more interested in the differences in the 15th anniversary edition, you can see how they look. So, you can build a route. When you build a route, you look at the scoring chart. For 3, that's going to be 4 points. Another action you can do is draw more destination tickets. You draw 3 tickets from the stack, and you have to pick at least one of them. You can keep all of them, but remember, the ones you don't finish by the end of the game, you get penalized for. And finally, you can build a train station. A train station, you can build it in any city that doesn't have one. To build your first station, you just spend 1 card of any color. If it's your second station, you gotta spend 2 of one color. And your third station, you gotta spend 3 of one color. You have 3 stations total. We'll go into what these do later, but I'll just put one on the board for now. So you're drawing these cards, collecting cards so you can do collect enough cards for routes. So this route would require 4 pink, or at least 3 pink and a wild, or something like that. There are, however, special kinds of routes that have different rules. Double routes, like this one here, if you are playing a 2 or 3 player game, only one person can go here. But in a 4 or 5 player game, these can be claimed by 2 different players. So maybe red player, look at that, builds here using 4 blue. For example, purple player could also build there. Ferries are special routes across water that require locomotives. So for this one here, I would need 1 locomotive and then 1 of any color, which gray player will do. And that one's a double route, so another player could also build there. Tunnels look like this, and these ones are special in that you may need extra cards because you're not sure how long the tunnel will be. So this one's a gray tunnel. So I could, let's do a green tunnel. So you need at least 2 green cards. You lay them down, and then you declare that you're going to try to build here. Now, What you have to do is take the top 3 cards of the deck and reveal them. All right. In this case, no green cards or locomotives were drawn, so you can build totally fine. However, let's say a locomotive was shown, and let's pretend this was green. Then you would need 2 more green cards from your hand and or locomotives to build in addition. So this would require 4 instead if you were unlucky. If you don't have enough cards to build the tunnel or don't want to play them, you just end your turn. However, if they did, I'll show you the brown train. Wow, beautiful. Just to show you how a destination card works, if I was trying to build between Stockholm to Wilno, there are a couple ways we could do it. It doesn't matter how long it is, as long as they finally meet up there. So I could go, I could build this long subway route. And then I could connect to here. And that would count as completed. Train stations can help with that. If you have a train station, I'll use a brown one. Then at the end of the game, you can claim one of the routes next to the train station as your own, even though it's not one of yours. So let's say I put a brown station here. And let's say a brown player really wanted to connect, I'm gonna pronounce these wrong, I apologize in advance. Sofia to Zurich. If they have these tracks and they have a station here, they could theoretically at the end of the game be like, I'm gonna count this route as connected for me. 1 per station, and yeah, you get to do that and score points. However, each station you don't use, you have 3 of them, will give you 4 points at the end of the game. Now the game ends when somebody has less than 2 or less cars, then everyone gets a final turn, and then you calculate your points. First, you look at your current scores, you'll score points for, building tracks around the board. Then you add up all your tickets that you completed, or deduct tickets you didn't complete. Get 4 points for each station you didn't use, and if you have the longest continuous route, you would get the European Express bonus. Otherwise, that's the game. Now, there are other variants that are included, including, so you can play Classic, you can play Europe 1912, Mega Europe, which combines both, and Big Cities of Europe. All of those are included in the game. But otherwise, that's pretty much the game. Yeah.
So I played a lot of Ticket to Rides, but Europe has always been one of my favorites. It preserves the simplicity of what I like about Ticket to Ride base, but it adds enough little twists that make it interesting, but without overcomplicating the game. First off, the 15th anniversary edition is gorgeous with the special trains and stations, the huge map. It also has all the little expansions, which is very handy. I'm a sucker for good component values, so I really appreciated the overall presentation. I think if you love Ticket to Ride Europe, this is a very fancy, nice box. I've always enjoyed the breeziness of Ticket to Ride in general. You just do one thing a turn, you make connections, get tickets. It's a simple cycle, but it's satisfying to watch your train network grow on the board and, get in the way of other people. The stations are a really nice, relatively forgiving mechanic if you get blocked off, but I also appreciate that you get rewarded for not using them if you choose not to. Tunnels, they add a nice little sense of tension as you turn the cards and hope that you don't draw more and spend more. And along with the ferry routes, there's enough slight variation in those different tracks that make the game more interesting overall. If you're going to get one ticket to ride, this is a pretty great option. I think Europe is a more interesting game than base game like USA, but it's still simple enough that it's accessible for everyone. Some of the later ticket to rides can get a little more complicated. I like the simplicity of this, but it has a little more beef. That, and with the really nice component value, do I think the 15th anniversary edition is essential? No. But if you really like Ticket to Ride Europe, it's very nice. It's a very nice presentation. And the actual game itself, if you've never played Ticket to Ride Europe, great game.